fellow book lovers, welcome back to the Bibliovert channel. My name is Jacqueline, and for today's video, we are going to be talking about my favorite independent authors and the books that they've written. Today is also a really exciting video for us because today is the very first day that our video is sponsored, and it's actually sponsored by an independent author, and we're going to be able to talk about her book today, and I cannot wait. I fell in love with this series back in 2020, and to get to talk about it with y'all is just absolutely thrilling. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about some books. The very first book that we're going to be talking about today is Radiance by Grace Draven. I am not gonna lie, I went into this book with mega low expectations. I read it for our very first ever massive readathon and I loved it so much. This is a marriage of convenience book, and I will say that it's a little bit more of like strangers to friends to lovers. These characters have such a deep respect for one another. They care about each other. They're so affectionate. And I just fell in love with them and thought it was so sweet. I really loved the main character, Ildiko's characteristics. I thought she was a really well-rounded, thoughtful, kind, compassionate character. And I was just pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoy this one. Highly, highly recommend it. The only flaw that I found in this book is that the love interest doesn't like potatoes, and I took that personally. But other than that, fantastic book. This next book, it's not a stranger on our channel. I'm actually pretty sure we have a vlog talking about this book in the series and it quickly becoming one of my favorite series of all times. And that is the Twisted series by Anna Huang. This is the second one, Twisted Games, which is my personal favorite, but the series starts with Twisted Love. I love this series so much. It follows four best friends and their romantic adventures that they go on. The first one, I was shocked by how much plot there was and how twisty and turny it was, because that's not exactly what I was like reading it for, but I loved it. And then the second one, again, my personal favorite, reminds me so much of The Princess Diaries, except she falls in love with her bodyguard. And oh my gosh, I love it so much. Cannot recommend this series enough. It is top-notch, so good. Okay, so the next author is also not a stranger on our channel, but again, I could not have this list without mentioning it, and since we're already on a romance kick, we may as well insert it here. Anything Mariana Zapata writes. Oh my goodness, incredible. These are two of my personal favorites of her book, but Colty wins every time. Oh my gosh. Very much, if you're in like your sports romance era, this author needs to be next. The slowest of slow burns. I've never read a slower burn than Mariana Zapata books, but I eat this up like I am starving. So good. It's so good. So highly recommend all of her books, but especially these two. They are long. Don't let that intimidate you. Utterly fantastic. So I have to admit, the resurgence of vampires that we've seen in the last couple of years has made my 2008 Twilight heart so happy. I read this book in 2020 and absolutely fell in love with it. And so the idea that we're partnering with the author for this week's YouTube video is just, I can't believe it. I'm so thrilled and so excited to get to talk to you about Terra and Terra Destra. Terra came out in 2020. It is about Evangeline, who has a rare blood disorder, which is actually the same blood disorder that the author has. She is living a very normal teenage life and she starts having some medical problems, gets diagnosed with this blood disorder, and because of that, in a long series of events, she gets transported to this other world and finds out that it's ruled by vampires. The vampire that was her captor very quickly becomes an enemy, and then there's a potential for more. I loved this book. It was so complex. We're split between the vampiric world and the mortal world, seeing Evangeline and what she's going through, but then also the eyes of her brother as he is trying to rescue his sister. There's politics, there's intrigue, there's twists and turns, there's a bed sharing trope. I absolutely ate this book up and loved every single second of it. So when MTG reached out to us to talk about her sequel that is coming out this year, Terra Destra, we absolutely jumped on the opportunity. So this is book 2 and it follows the events obviously of book 1. And this time our main character Evangeline has gone through quite the transformation at the end of book 1, if you will. I'm trying not to give any spoilers, but she is now set on saving both the vampiric world as well as the mortal world. So she's going on a journey. She's trying to find other humans that live in this vampiric world. And I am just thrilled that this book has finally come out because I've been sitting on the edge of my seat waiting for it. I highly recommend reading these books. They're absolutely wonderful and the author is such a gem. So MTG, thank you so much for sponsoring this video. We are so grateful and I am so thrilled that we get to share your books with the world. This next author is one of our favorites over on the Bibliovert podcast, and we had the incredible honor of actually getting to interview the author. It was so much fun, so definitely go check out those episodes. But it is, of course, Tessa Bailey. Tessa Bailey is both a traditionally and independently published author, hence why she is on this list. And this book is both Allie and I's favorite of all of her books. My Killer Vacation follows an elementary school teacher who is a true crime podcast aficionado, and when she goes on vacation, she finds a dead body. So when a bounty hunter is called in to solve the murder, our main character follows the bounty hunter around because she wants to see how the case is wrapped up. She gets heavily involved in it and hilarity ensues. I love this book. I've reread it multiple times and I fall even more in love with it every time I read it. So I highly recommend it if you're looking for witty, hilarious banter, ridiculous situations, and just feel-good rom-coms. So this next series has me in an absolute chokehold, except I have not read the latest book because of how nervous I am with the way that book 3 ended, that I literally can't bring myself to read it, but I just need to do it. But I love this series so much, and it is the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. The first book is Guild, which, just as a little warning, I do recommend checking out trigger warnings before you read this book. This does have graphic scenes that I do recommend just being prepared for. However, this book, this series is literally a work of art. It is a Midas retelling, and I have been racking my brain as to how to describe this book without giving spoilers because there are so many twists and turns and I don't want to spoil anything for any of you. But just trust me that it's fantastic. This book follows Arin, who is quite literally gold. Like, she's gold-plated human, and she is in service to King Midas, and she is his most prized possession. And I literally don't know how to keep going that wouldn't spoil it. The series, it's heart-wrenching, it hurts, it's good, it's tender, it's hopeful, it's so moving, and again, I'm so nervous to keep reading it because of how the third book ended, but I'm forcing myself to do it this year. But I literally love this series so much and highly recommend it. All right, next one, we have A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova. A lot of Elise's books are self-published, but she does have some that are traditionally published as well. Oh my gosh, ate this book up like it was dessert. So good. One of my favorite things about Elise is that she can take a handful of tropes and write them to where they are seamlessly put together, and in my opinion, this book does it. We have marriage of convenience, we have enemies to lovers, we have slow burn, we have bed sharing trope. It's just I loved it. I loved it so much. Also, one of my favorite things about this book is that it's a standalone. Technically, there are other books in the series, but they follow different characters. And so it's just nice to like not have to wait for the next book in the series or end on a cliffhanger. And I really enjoyed it. Okay, so this next one, it's not for everyone, but it was for me. But I can also very much understand that some people just don't like it. But I love it so much. And it is Zodiac Academy by Caroline Peckman and Susan Valenti. Y'all, this book is ridiculous. It's outrageous. It's over the top. It's insanity. And I ate it up so much. We follow twins who are born in the human realm and then find out that they have magic when they're 18, and they kind of go to a magical school, except it's more like college or university, and it's very much a bully romance, and for like bully romance for like the first 3 books, and it's a lot. It's aggressive. I didn't really think I liked bully romances, and I really don't, but it gets better, but it takes like 3 books to get there. But y'all, I was laughing so hard throughout this entire book, and I think like the authors are in on the joke. Like they know how ridiculous it is, and I just think it's so funny. So anyway, I love this series. I haven't finished it yet. I think I have 7 and 8 to read right now, and then 9, which I think is the last book in this series, comes out this year. I don't know how they come up with the plots that they do, but oh my gosh, they're so good. Highly, highly recommend it. If you have read this series, please DM me over on Instagram, because I just love talking about this book so much. So if you hate it, come chat with me. If you love it, come chat with me. I want to hear all the thoughts. But I personally am here for every single second of the wild, wild ride. All right, this next one, y'all, this was another one that I was not expecting. A lot of our patrons recommended this book to us, and we ended up doing it for a book buddy read one month, and it absolutely gripped me and had me on the edge of my seat. And it is Dead Moon's Rising by Jack Whitney. Y'all, Jack, she's got guts to write the ending the way that she did. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but oh my gosh, she's got guts. Our main character is bold, confident, brash. She is so sure of herself. And then the love interest, oh my gosh, literally no words. Neighboring kingdoms, but they are absolute rivalries. And of course, they're both going to be the leaders of their kingdoms, and they fall in love. So very much forbidden romance, enemies to lovers, of course. There's a lot of they misunderstood each other, but then they've come to appreciate each other's culture and each other's values. And then the way that evil is conquered at the end of this book, did not see it coming. It's so good, and Jack is such a wonderful human, so definitely support her and all of her other books, because they're all equally as good. She has novellas that she writes around holidays that are fantastic, but if you were looking for a fantasy, then this is the one to read. It's so good. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any independent authors and their books that you love, please share them in the comments down below. We are always looking for more independent authors to support and love, so we would love to have everyone share their favorites. Please let me know if you read any books off of this list. I would love to hear your thoughts. You can come chat with us over on Instagram at the Bibliovertpodcast. We also have a podcast called the Bibliovertpodcast. We have episodes that come out every single Monday on Apple, Spotify, and Google Play. We do a lot of fantasy, romance, sci-fi, just all sorts of fun things, and we have a great time. We also have a Patreon that is such a special place. It is filled with other book-loving humans who are so kind and generous and thoughtful and supportive and encouraging. We have a chat so you can all get to know one another. Then we have a monthly book buddy read and a Zoom date to talk about that book, and just so much more. We have behind the scenes content, Patreon exclusive episodes. It's just a blast and so much fun. So we always have room for one more in our family, and we'd love to have you come join us. But I hope you have a fantastic week. Happy reading, and I'll see you next time.